I'm Ron Paul. I'm a congressman from Texas, serving in my 10th term. I am the champion of the Constitution.
Congressman Ron Paul, you appear to have consistent, principled integrity. Americans don't usually go for that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to urge the Congress to think twice before thrusting this nation into a war without merit, one fraught with danger of escalating into something no American will be pleased with. Thomas Jefferson advised, quote, "Never was so much false arithmetic employed on any subject as that which has been employed to persuade nations that it is in their interest to go to war," close quote. We have for months now heard plenty of false arithmetic and lame excuses on why we must pursue a preemptive war of aggression against an impoverished nation 6,000 miles from our shores that doesn't even possess a Navy or Air Force, with a pretense that it must be done for national security interests. For some reason, such an attack makes me feel much less secure, while our country is made more vulnerable. Congress must consider the fact that those with military experience advise a go-slow policy, and those without military experience are the ones demanding this war. We cannot ignore the fact that all Iraq's Arab neighbors are opposed to this attack, and our European allies object as well. And if the military and diplomatic reasons for a policy of restraint makes no sense, I advise consider the $100 billion it will cost.
We're spreading our goodness in Iraq. We can't do that without dropping bombs on there and killing a lot of people. I think we should only do those things under the prescribed conditions of the Constitution.
How much longer should the United States stay in Iraq?
The sooner we come home, the better. If they declare there's no progress in September, we should come home. It was a mistake to go, so it's a mistake to stay. If we made the wrong diagnosis, we should change the treatment. So we're not making progress there, and we should come home. The weapons weren't there, and we went in under UN resolutions, and our national security was not threatened. We're more threatened now by staying.
Is war ever justifiable?
Sure. If you're attacked, you have a right and an obligation to defend our country, and the Constitution is very clear on that. So yes, in defense, I do not believe there's ever a moral justification to start the war.
So World War II, we were justified.
Sure.
Because of Pearl Harbor.
Right.
How about the first Iraq war? They invade Kuwait. We should just say, not our business?
It was a border dispute. Matter of fact, we told Saddam Hussein, who was our ally, when we went into Iran, he was encouraged by us. So he told us, he let us know, that he might do it.
Have invaded the next country and the next country.
Well, maybe they should do something about it. I bet Israel would have done something about it, and I bet Saudi Arabia maybe would have talked to Israel. I think if it would have been left to the region, they might have taken care of Saddam Hussein in 1990, and we wouldn't have the problems we had today.
Congressman Paul, this comes from Jay Majumdar from Roswell, Georgia, and he wants to know if you agree with Senator McCain's statement that the United States might need to have U.S. troops in Iraq for as long as even 100 years.
I don't even think they should have gone. So keeping them for 100 years, where's the money going to come from?
Many say the surge is succeeding. We're at a turning point now. And we are creating a model of democracy in a part of the world that hasn't seen that. And that will change everything.
Well, that's the propaganda. I don't happen to believe that. And if you talk to the military people, a lot of them won't agree with it. I happen to get more money from the military, active military people, than any other candidate, because they see it more from my viewpoint.
And if in most of Iraq some religious fanatic comes to power and has money to buy nuclear weapons, just leave them alone?
Well, it's not likely to happen, but the threat was that they had them and they didn't. The Soviets had the technology. I was called to service in the 60s. I served 5 years in the Air Force. They were 90 miles off our shore, and they had nuclear weapons there. But we were able to talk to them. We took our missiles out of Turkey. They took the missiles out of Cuba. We should be talking to people like this. I think it's miraculous that we didn't have to go to a nuclear war with China or the Soviets, and they had a lot of them. But we didn't invade them in order to get rid of those weapons. It's the lack of diplomacy that is the greatest threat, not the weapons themselves.
all, you're one of 6 House Republicans who back in 2002 voted against authorizing President Bush to use force in Iraq. Now you say we should pull our troops out. A recent poll found that 77% of Republicans disapprove of the idea of setting a timetable for withdrawal. Are you running for the nomination of the wrong party?
But you have to realize that the base of the Republican Party shrunk last year because of the war issue. So that percentage represents less people. If you look at 65 to 70% of the American people, they want us out of there. They want the war over. In 2002, I offered an amendment to international relations to declare war, up or down, and nobody voted for the war. And my argument there was, if we want to go to war and if we should go to war, the Congress should declare it. We don't go to war like we did in Vietnam and Korea, because the wars never end. And I argued the case and made the point that it would be a quagmire if we go in. Ronald Reagan in 1983 sent Marines into Lebanon, and he said he would never turn tail and run. A few months later, the Marines were killed, 241 were killed, and the Marines were taken out. And Reagan addressed this subject in his memoirs. And he says, I said I would never turn tail and run. He says, but I never realized the irrationality of Middle Eastern politics, and he changed his policy there. We need the courage of a Ronald Reagan.
If North Korea invades South Korea, we should just leave it alone?
Sure, but it's not going to happen. I mean, South Korea is about 10 times more powerful than North Korea.
If China invaded Taiwan?
Sure. Well, I mean, that's a border war, and they should deal with it.
We should stay out of it.
Yeah.
If Canada invades Montana?
I think that might be a little bit different. Because Montana probably could take care of it, but we'd probably help them out from Washington if that happened.
That's a role for the federal government.
Oh, sure.
Stand up and listen. A true patriot's mission. This war of attrition now. We'll keep on marching on.
But you can't use force of arms to invade other countries to make them better people. Our job is to make us a better people.